Oh, hi everyone. Good thing I'm finally home. Surely I'm having a great time in the Three Kings day, but I'm just feeling sad that I have to see the Three Caballeros go. It's just on the final day, like on this weekend. After tomorrow, this will be the last scene of them. And the website told me that they'll be back on November this year, so I can come back to see them. And now, I don't know why I feel like I'm alone without the Three Caballeros in my life. It's been like 3 months. I'm starting to warm up to the Three Caballeros and watching the Legends of Three Caballeros series and the movie, the 1944. I'm starting to love the Three Caballeros like they're my family. And the true friends. I don't know why I almost smiled because to be honest, it feels like I cannot hide my feelings from the Three Caballeros anymore. Just like you saw me confessing my feelings to Donald and Jose, in despite that Panchito was absent. If Panchito was here, I will tell him how I feel. Even though I dress up as Becky, Wynonna, the other characters except Wynonna, who's my twin friend. Certainly we look so identical to each other because we have the same facial structure, except hers is red her hair is red and the red eyebrows, and mine the black hair with the black eyebrows, so I'm not red. Wynonna is. It's gonna take me months until November, where I can see the Three Caballeros again. That is, if I get a ticket one day. Donald Duck. Every time I see Donald Duck and interact with him, surely he's a hot-tempered, impatient duck, but he can be very carefree, happy, sweet, fun-loving, and brave. And of course, he can be very jolly sometimes. Not to mention, sometimes whimsical. When he's around his nephews, he seems like a good, mature, strict, and sometimes he gets whimsical with his nephews when it comes to games and playing music time, like Pop Goes the Weasel. I call him mentally relatable to me, because what makes me related to Donald is sometimes I lose my temper sometimes, but a good thing, when I grow up with such maturity, I was no longer quick to anger anymore. I'm always remain calm as Mickey. And like Donald, I become fun-loving, sometimes whimsical, carefree, adventurous, independent, and I can be very sweet. It's what makes me suddenly like Donald right now. And especially I give him sweet kisses. And I'm happy that I tell him I love him. Not as a boyfriend. Well, he can be like a brief love interest, but I still think of him as a friend, a best friend. Jose Carioca. I know it's hard to pronounce his name, either Jose or Jose, but I'm sticking with Jose because people keep calling him that. Jose Carioca. When I tell him that he was the handsome, charming, sweet, kind bird I ever met. And I even promised him that one of these days my family and I go to Bahia, Brazil, I will do anything to learn his culture and understand his passionate perspective for Brazil culture, because he lived in Brazil and he knows his country very well. When he speaks Portuguese, he sounds very charming, so handsome. Of course, he makes me blush. Every time I get hugged by Jose, he seems very sweet and it's so loving. And I can feel his heart so pure, like he has a heart of gold. No wonder I'm starting to like Jose as the best Caballero. No wonder he gets fangirls. Just because his amazing heart of gold. Of course, he's suave and stuff, but he could be fun-loving when it comes to cha-cha-cha and samba and salsa. And I really love his dancing. He's a great, smooth, suave dancer. Taught me well. And finally, my dearest handsome friend, Panchito, that I end up having a crush on him until... First, when I see him from my childhood memories, first I thought he was a weird, chaotic, wild, loud oddball. But when I get to know him and watch Three Caballeros movie again like my old times, it turns out Panchito wasn't a bad, weird oddball after all. He's good. And he's wise. And he's smart. Like he knows his country very well. And he's very well educational rooster who acts like a great Mexican history teacher. Panchito, every time I see him and when I dress as Michelle Rivera, the girl version of Miguel, and if I'm trying to dress up like a mariachi, Panchito seems like a biggest excitable fan of mariachis and Mexican musicians, especially Miguel, and his movie called Coco. No wonder he just walked up to me and just gave me a startling hug to startle me, which makes me yelp a bit like, oh, like he hugged me all of a sudden? It's kind of funny. But I really deeply appreciate it, and I really need his hug. It always makes me feel better, and he always makes me smile and make me loved. If I keep getting hugged by Panchito, I will always feel loved, like I'm feeling Panchito always loved me with his heart. Of course, even Wynonna, the human-headed woodpecker girl who has a crush on Panchito, that she call him the handsome Prince Charming of Mexico. And me, I nicknamed Panchito Panchitti. I know I cannot call him that out loud because what if he thinks it's an offensive or insulting name? But I hope it doesn't sound like an insult. It's just an affectionate nickname. I call him that out of my affection or my love because I loved him. I'll never forget my good times getting hugged and get lots of kisses from Panchito. And now I would tell him how I feel from my heart, like, surely he's a loud, rambunctious. Well, sometimes he can be rambunctious, but not all the time. He's fun-loving, he's charming, and he's very smart, just like every time he teaches the history of Mexican, like, the lake is full of Mexico City, and before the people been told by the god of Aztecs to build a huge city of Mexico, but before they do that on the lake, in the middle of the lake they see an eagle killing the serpent. The eagle standing on the cactus that is standing on a rock way in the middle of the lake. Before take years to build the Mexico City, and finally what he said. The lake is full of Mexico City, and it goes on and on, many decades, where Mexico City become a famous city in Mexico country. That's what makes me think he made himself the great, wise Mexican history teacher, and I'm happy to be his enthusiastic, optimistic, passionate pupil who will do whatever it takes to understand his cultural perspective. I'm trying to be a good student, loving student to him, and he will love me as his pupil, other than just a love interest or a crush. And also, he could be fun-loving, a party animal. Well, he loves Mexican parties. He's a great singer. And of course, he could be very Mexico, and he's very princely. And of course, sometimes he gets very feisty when it comes to bullfighting. Well, I don't know, feisty. And he taught me how to greet well.